So thanks for coming, everyone. Thanks to Shane for inviting me back, and Ryan too. So we're not going to talk about some cool piece of tech today, and we're not going to talk about some new awesome thing coming out. We're going to talk about stuff that happens in every tech company in the world every day. So hopefully the stuff we're going to talk about today isn't going to be quite as sexy, but maybe more useful in your jobs and in your careers. So I'm going to start with the de rigueur slide on who I am. I'm an engineer by training. I was a chip designer for many years. I designed chips for cell phones and GPS receivers. But even though I haven't been an engineer for over a decade, I still do a lot of engineering. This is the closet in my home office. So I do a lot of electronic stuff. You can't see it there. Underneath there, there's a GPU box that I built this summer. It's currently training away on some NLP models. So I still feel like an engineer, even though I don't actually get paid to be one anymore. After engineering, I became a quant trader in New York and in London. And in fact, I wrote a book about this, which came out earlier this year. And this is my attempt at teaching people how traders think about the decisions they make in their work, and how maybe some of these ideas can apply to everybody else throughout their lives and their work as well. But for the last 5 years, I've been a management consultant. And by way of proof that I'm an honest-to-goodness, real-life management consultant, this is me on a golf course. But I'm a technical management consultant. That means that I only talk to tech companies because, I mean, let's face it, no tech company needs some Harvard MBA coming in and telling them how to run the show, right? That's kind of crazy. And so if we can get into the technical details when necessary, I think there's value there. And so, well, what are we going to talk about today? Well, in the years that I've been doing this, it's pretty clear that tech companies live and die in very, very similar ways. And so today we're going to tell 4 short stories about some key failure modes that I think I've seen. And you might be arguing to yourself, well, my company's not like that. We're doing pretty well. That doesn't apply to us. And yes, every tech company is different. But the problems that tech companies run into, I mean, I see some of the same things again and again and again. And so hopefully the solutions can be pretty similar as well. And so that's the goal for today, for us to learn and maybe apply some ideas in our organization so that our company can be one of the happy ones. And so we're just going to dive into it. We're going to get our first story going. And this is a story about features, bugs, and regressions. But I'm not going to be the only person talking today. I'm going to ask for some volunteers. We're going to do a little amateur dinner theater here. So I want 2 volunteers to come out here. Don't worry, you don't have to memorize anything. I've got the scripts right here. You literally just have to read the script, and everything will be fine. So come on, I need 2 people to start this off. All right, got one right here. All right, got you right there. Okay, awesome. All right, so you are going to read for the part of Felix. And why don't you come over here? You're going to read for the part of, part of Irene. I'm going to give you a couple of microphones so that everybody can hear you. All right? All right, so, okay, awesome. So this is a company that I talked to 3 or 4 years ago. These are real stories, okay? These are not made up things. These are companies that I've talked to. I've ambiguated the names and the situations a little bit so that nobody gets hurt, but these are definitely real stories. And so this is a payments processing company that I talked to 3 or 4 years ago. They sell payments processing software into really large organizations. And the thing with really large organizations as clients is that they always want little UI tweaks. They want little changes to the way the app works, and you just kind of have to support that. And so over here we have Felix. Sorry, I'm going to switch you guys. You're going to be Felix. You're a product manager. You've been at the company about 5 years or so. You're really good at listening to customers, talking to them, really understanding their problems, and really solving them for them. You're reading for the part of Irene. You manage a group of about 10 UI, UX designers and developers, okay? And so Felix has just come back from talking to a customer, and him and Irene are having a conversation. So Felix, take it away.
I just got back from meeting a big new customer. I think we can log them if we make some UI tweaks.
Wasn't this the war on bugs sprint?
Here we go again.
Here we go again.
So here we go again. What's happening? Obviously, there's some water under the bridge. There's some bad blood here. There's something going on. So what are these people thinking when they're thinking about this conversation? Well, Felix is thinking,
Why is it that every time I ask for new features that move the needle on revenue, I get pushback?
I keep asking for time and resources to fight our decaying infrastructure, but they always want more new features.
And when they do write a new feature, it's buggy and all the other stuff is broken for the next 3 weeks.
How am I even supposed to explain that a full build takes 4 hours now?
Right, so this is a very these guys are awesome, man. This is a very, very typical conversation that you hear. And the problem here, obviously, we all see the problem, right? They're kind of not talking to each other, they're kind of talking past each other. And I think the standard sort of diagnosis is that, and the standard prescription would be, well, they need to sort of take some communication training, some kind of soft skill stuff. I'm not going to say that's not part of it, but as an engineer, I look for more sort of tangible things. And to quote Pickle Rick, it's not just about what words go with what feelings. It's something more than that. And so the claim that I make is that we need to give them a new language. And in business, the common language is money, okay? And so we can train these people to talk about their problems in terms of dollars, in terms of how it affects the business. And then conversations like these take on a pretty different tenor. All right, Felix, take it away.
The UI tweaks for the new customer are, in expectation, going to bring in $50,000 in monthly recurring revenue.
The code base refactor is costing $5,000 a week, and I'm 80% confident it should be done in 5 weeks. Once freed up, those devs can get started on your UI changes.
Excellent. So talking in common terms, right? As far as I'm concerned, this is the easiest and best way to get people from different groups kind of working together on business decisions. And scene. Thank you to our two. All right. See, it wasn't so bad because I'm going to ask for 2 more volunteers. Come on. All right, we got 1, we got 2. Perfect. All right, let's see if I get these papers right. All right. So you're going to read the part of Pradeep, and you are going to read the part of Kyle. All right. So this is a story, actually, about schedules. This is a story early in my career in a semiconductor manufacturing company. My boss was great. He's a good manager, and we still have a great relationship today. His boss, as one other person in this room is well aware, was a bit of a micromanager. And so this is the situation. Take it away. So Kyle's a junior engineer. Kyle has been at the firm like 12, 18 months or something. And Pradeep is VP engineering. He's a really sharp guy. He's well respected. He runs a tight ship. He gets things done on schedule. He's really driven and really good. Okay? And so Pradeep, start us off.
Hey Kyle, is the amplifier design going to be ready for the Friday meeting like you said last week?
About that.
You're going to be late?
I ran into some loop stability issues.
Kyle, you know the Christmas schedule is critical.
This is my first solo design. How am I supposed to know how long it should take?
This thing is going to slip and product is going to kill me.
Right, so again, very standard issue, right? People slip the schedule, now you miss the market windows, like, no, everybody's hair is on fire, right? Well, I'm not going to give you any magic answers here, like they're kind of in trouble, right? But let's rewind the clock 6 months, right? What could the conversation have been 6 months ago?
Hey Kyle, you're progressing really well. I think you'll be ready for a solo design in a few months.
Awesome, but why not now?
You're a good designer, but you need to learn some non-technical things first.
Like what?
Ever heard of the Big Dig in Boston?
I think it's good. Oh no, just kidding. No, what does that have to do with IC design?
If he can't come up with a sensible schedule, doesn't matter how good an engineer he is.
Right, so the point here is that technical skills, they're important, right? But all the other meta-level skills are just as important, right? Like you're doing new things, how am I going to know what the schedule should be? How certain am I about the claims that I'm making at work, right? You need to have some of this meta-level knowledge. You're not going to learn this in school, and you're certainly, most of the time, not going to learn it on the job. You have to sort of pick it up organically. But let's say that, Pradeep trains Kyle over the course of a few months to think in this kind of probabilistic way of doing schedules. Schedules is just a small example of what we're talking about here. What does this conversation look like when Kyle's in a design review now?
So, in conclusion, best case is 3 weeks, average 4.5 weeks, 90th percentile is 7 weeks.
Okay, let's calibrate those estimates. You got your poker chips handy?
Yeah, let's do some bets.
Right, so this is the idea. Talk is cheap, right? The best way to get people to really put their finger on what they believe and how much they believe it is to get them to bet on things. My partner at Essilen Research, he used to run poker for schedule. And so people would come in, they would say, okay, I'm 75% confident we're going to meet 2 months. It's like, okay, put up 3 small chips. I'll put up 1 chip. If you're right, I give you a chip. If not, I take 3 chips. Pretty simple. And over the course of even just a year, you can get people really well calibrated on how they think about their schedules, right? Because it actually means something. It cashes out. You don't have to worry about, Jane, she's always very aggressive on her schedule, so I got to kind of fudge that number. And Jeff, he's very conservative. I got to fudge that other number. Getting everybody talking in common terms, again, excellent way to get people thinking about schedules properly. All right. Excellent. Another round of applause for our 2 volunteers. Okay, so our third story. Do I still have volunteers? Have I sapped the room of volunteers? All right, I got you. Awesome. All right, performance reviews. And this is another story from my past. It's from a quant trading firm that I may or may not have intimate knowledge about. And so you are going to read for the part of Elena. Elena's a junior trader. She graduated Harvard, dual major, math CS. She did well in the Putnam exam. She's the kind of person where if you ask her friends who's the smartest person you know, they'll say Elena, okay? You are reading for the part of Keith. Keith is a senior trader. He got his start on the floor of the Merc, the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. He was in the crude oil pits for a long time, moved upstairs, and now he's a senior trader there. His job is to make money, right? He comes in every day. His job is to trade and make money for the firm. And so Elena is a junior trader on Keith's desk, and in principle, she's got to learn everything that Keith knows how to do, and more, hopefully. All right, let's take it away, Elena. Oh, sorry, microphone. All right, off you go.
Hey Keith, so remember you said we're going to have my performance review this week?
Yeah, I know, but trading's been crazy, Brexit, Trump, something, WeWork.
Yeah, for sure, crazy.
We'll try to do it next week, assuming the world stays in one piece.
I must be doing okay. I mean, I'm sure he would have said something if not.
This is not going to be fun.
Of course it's not going to be fun, right? Keith is dodging an obviously painful and problematic conversation, right? And so, of course, next week, Elena, she kind of finds Keith right before the open. He's like, all right, let's do it. And he's like, okay, fine, let's do it, right? And here we go.
All right, it's 9:10 opening bells in 20 minutes, we have to make this quick. Big picture, it's not going that well. You're really smart, but you're not picking up on the trading stuff. This isn't a math problem, it's real life. You gotta be thinking about what other people think about what you think.
So what do I do?
The software tools you wrote are good, but you have to pay more attention to the trading.
Where's all this coming from? I feel like I just got hit by a truck.
I don't have time to coddle these kids.
Of course not, right? Keith, this is not the thing that he wants to be doing, right? And look, the big picture thing here is hiring good people does not absolve you from having to do good performance management. And let me tell you, I hear so many poor excuses for bad performance management. We're too small. Who's heard that one? Anybody heard that one? Yeah, okay, you've heard that one. Good. Or it's kind of fluid. And besides, everybody knows each other. We don't really need to do real performance management. We're nimble, right? People wear many hats. So, we don't really kind of have a defined org structure. So it doesn't make a whole lot of sense for us. We're swamped. Everybody's super busy. You certainly can't find 20 minutes or so to kind of do a good job of this stuff. Our managers, they know what they're doing, right? They're such good managers that they can just sort of wing it. Each woman does whatever they want, and everything's going to work out fine. And the classic one, we hire great people. They basically manage themselves. We don't need to do anything, right? And these are all terrible excuses, right? Another thing about reviews. One thing that I find humorous is that people spend all this time trying to hire people, and then the first real review they get is 6 months or a year down the line. This is crazy, right? Reviews should be log spaced. You get hired, a week later you have a small review. And I don't mean like some incredibly structured, like hour-long thing, but I also don't mean a little conversation by the water cooler. I mean like something nice and structured, something that has some meat on it that's consistent across people, but that gives people feedback. And then you do it a month later, 3 months later, 6 months later, a year later. And some of you might be thinking, oh man, this is so much overhead. This is like, people are going to hate being micromanaged. But every company that I've talked to that has implemented log-spaced reviews for new hires says it's the greatest thing they've ever done, because everybody likes it. The people who are coming in, they love it. They get feedback. They get integrated into the culture of the company. Everything is better. And the managers love it too, because they don't have to wait some arbitrary amount of time to give people feedback in a structured way. This is way better. Speaking of reviews, there are a million ways of doing it badly and a few ways of doing it well. SBIR is well known, Situation, Behavior, Impact, Response. This is a good review technique. There are a couple of other ones. The point is you need to have a way. It can't just be some free form, I don't know, let's talk about how you did, right? And let's face it, people do not quit jobs because, oh, I wanted to do React, but I'm doing Angular. People quit jobs because their managers suck. And so stop sucking. It's really simple, right? One other thing about this, candidates, you want to ask about this stuff when you're interviewing, right? You can ask about the job itself, what are you going to be doing, but how you're going to be evaluated, how you're going to be asked to do things, what is the path? These are all incredibly important things that candidates, by and large, just kind of forget to ask about. All right, thanks to our two actors. All right, we have one more script, so I got to be able to find two people here. Come on. All right. I got him with the performance review stuff. This is bang on for you, though. This is a hiring script. All right, I need one more. Come on, Shane. All right. So hiring, right? Everybody knows that hiring, super important, super difficult. And so this is a machine learning startup that I talked to 3-4 months in the summer of this year. And so Shane, you're going to be Yaching, and you are going to be Amber. Okay? Amber is, she did a tour of duty in Afghanistan. She came back, decided she wanted to get into tech, went to a code school, did like a data science degree kind of thing, certificate, and now she's looking for a job, right? Yaching, so she went to Stanford, got her PhD in machine learning. She was in Chris Manning's lab. She went to work at DeepMind for a few years. Now she's starting her own machine learning startup. And so she's really sharp. She's looking for really sharp people, but of course she's on a budget because it's a small shoestring machine learning startup, right? And so the way she's going to do this is by asking really hard interview questions, right? This is how you find really sharp people. So, I mean, who's heard of 5 pirates, 100 gold coins? Anybody heard that? Okay, awesome, you've heard that one. So this is the question. Yaching's asked Amber this question, and Amber answers.
So, because Pirate 4 would give a coin each to Pirates 1 and 2, Pirate 5 keeps 98 coins and gives 1 each to Pirate 3 and 1.
Wow, this gets sharp.
Good thing we're doing logic puzzles instead of linked. We just continue to pay.
She's smart. I'm sure she's going to pick things up quickly.
I'm sure she's going to pick things up quickly. She's smart, right? Well, fast forward a month later.
How's the model building coming along?
Slow. I'm spending so much time just cleaning data.
You know you can automate that, right?
I guess I don't know how to do that.
How can someone so smart and motivated be so unproductive? We're running out of cash while she cleans data.
Everybody's so busy. I just wish someone would teach me a bit.
Maybe she's not as smart as I thought. Gotta make these interviews harder.
Of course, that is the solution to every one of these hiring problems. You need to make the interviews even harder, so even fewer people pass them, right? This is crazy, because, thank you. Everybody wants to hire smart people, and Amber is smart. This is just the wrong job for her, right? She needs to find a job where she can get some training, she can get some mentorship, and maybe a bigger organization to get her started on her tech career, right? And Amber should know this, but so should Yaching, right? For all we know, Amber, she's been in the military, she might have some good leadership skills. That's not going to get used in this tiny ML startup where she's cleaning data all day. The big picture point is, what specific skills, attributes, and aptitudes are you looking for? It's one thing to say, oh, I need a 2-year React dev, write 200 words on a job description and pass it over to our friends at Robert Half, right? That is only going to get you so far, right? You want to be talking about this with your team. You need to agree on what are the skills, aptitudes specifically that you want and how you're going to look for these things, right? You can't just wing it. this is the most controversial thing I tell the people that I talk to, is they're probably terrible at interviewing. And this is just a universal fact, right? In my case, I added it up. I've conducted somewhere between 1,800 and 2,000 interviews in my career. And let me tell you, after a few hundred interviews, I thought it was pretty darn good at it. After a few hundred more, I realized this was way harder than I thought it was. And of course, it makes sense. You need training. You need lots of it, lots of feedback, lots of iterations. And it makes sense because, look, the human brain is literally the most complex thing that we are aware of in the universe. And so the idea that you're going to talk to somebody, exchange some words with them for an hour, and figure out how that brain works and how it's going to interact with all these other brains that you already have, right? This is a crazy proposition, and you should realize it's a crazy proposition. I know, too bad Claude's not here, because I know we've talked about at length sort of different approaches to this problem that, interviewing kind of doesn't really solve. There's a good news here. And the good news is that small improvements here can have really big effects, and the reason is because of positive feedback. You get a little bit better, you start getting slightly better candidates, slightly better hires, better for you. I'm not saying like better in some universal sense, just better for you. They talk to their friends, you start getting this positive feedback going in the right direction. It doesn't take a whole lot to flip the switch on this stuff. I know you two are nodding your heads because you know all about this. All right, so I want to bring this back kind of full circle because I want to give you guys, again, something tangible that you can take to your workplaces tomorrow. So for those of you who are individual contributors in tech, look, uncertainty is fundamental if you're doing something new. Nobody pays a company good money to do stuff that other companies can do, right? You're pushing the boundaries, you're doing new things. That's kind of the point. Well, it's naturally uncertain business, and you need to get comfortable with how to do that properly. Thinking and speaking in dollars, really important when you're interacting with the rest of the business. And of course, as you're making technical decisions, you're thinking about trade-offs, right? You want to do this, what am I giving up? There's no such thing as a free lunch, and being aware of that is kind of on that path to making you think about things kind of from a bigger picture. Technical managers, I kind of harp on this a lot for those of you who are technical managers because a lot of it really is on your shoulders. Nobody is good at everything. You need to look for the strengths in your people and kind of put them in positions where those things can be brought out. And of course, it's not about ignoring things that people could do better, of course. But the way you do that is by giving, again, useful structured feedback on a schedule. It can't just be water cooler conversations or, oh, you did this good, oh, this wasn't so good. Coaching junior people, again, trade-offs, uncertainties. You need to speak to non-tech people in dollars as well. And being a servant leader. I talk to my kids sometimes. I say, what do you want to be when you grow up? And my 8-year-old, he always says, I want to be the boss of a big company. And I ask him, well, why do you want to be the boss of a big company? And he says, because you get to boss people around, duh. Like, he looked at me like I was from Mars. But for those of us who have been in leadership positions, you start to realize that it's exactly the opposite, right? Like, you're their servant, because they're the ones doing the real work, right? You're not doing the real work. They're the ones doing the real work. And it's all about what can you do to enable them to do the best work that they can. And hopefully, when you get into leadership positions, you sort of realize that that's the case, because otherwise you're going to make for a pretty bad boss. And the way you do this is with empathy, right? Kind of put yourself in the shoes of the other people that report to you. What do they need? What do they need to get better? What do they need to be the best that they can be? For the non-tech people here, a lot of the same things still apply, of course. There's another kind of angle to this that's kind of innate in tech, not so much maybe in product management or other parts of the business. Tech is an asset. Technology is an asset just like a building or a car. And technology depreciates just like a building or a car. That means that when you ask for a new feature, you want to push the envelope, you want to pull some new customers in, there's a cost of that that's not just what it costs to build a new feature. It's what are the follow-on effects to everything else that's affected, right? This is not an obvious thing if you haven't been in tech, but it's super obvious if you have, right? And so, again, you want to be working with tech people on trade-offs. Because, look, we've all been in contentious meetings where it feels like, this is what's happening. But taking a step back and realizing, look, we're all on the same team. We're all sort of looking for the greater good of the company, I think is one of the best ways you start to sort of sidestep some of those issues. So yeah, so this is the picture that I have for you. If you want to talk, we can take some questions. I'm by no means the world's expert on this. I've seen a lot of things. But I enjoy talking to people about their problems. So, we could talk after. We send me an email. I'm very accessible. Shane knows how to get to me. So yeah, that's the picture that I have. Happy to take questions, comments, complaints. Mm-mm.